Infocom ZORK 2. What can I say about it? I think ZORK 2 does not get a fair shake. You see, in the society in which we live, when you take a name of a successful or sometimes not so successful product like ZORK and tag a 2 onto it, it means you're making a sequel. And it's very well known that with the exception of a small handful of franchises, Star Trek movies, Terminator movies, and things like that, a sequel is almost always inferior. But see, that's not the case here. ZORK 2 is not a sequel or a prequel. The game ZORK was created as an absolute unit, but it was too big for microcomputers of the day to handle, so it had to be chopped up, altered slightly in the process, and parceled out into 3 parts that as a whole make up the game of ZORK. But when you look at sales, the numbers speak for themselves. ZORK 2 did not do nearly a third as well as the first part. Either the first part was too hard and people did not invest in the rest of the story, or they saw ZORK 2 as a sequel and by that metric inherently inferior. This, of course, is just an assumption. I do not have the ability to go back in time to read the minds of all the people who consciously decided, no ZORK 2 for me. And often, when I ask people who actually made that decision why, they respond with, how should I know? That was 40 years ago. So I can only speculate. I only have the numbers, the articles, and the fact that ZORK 1 is a celebrated part of history while ZORK 2 gets regulated to being the butt end of a joke in The Martian. If you're wondering if I'm going to say ZORK 2 was superior or inferior, you're in for a long wait. It's similar, but it's not the same. Oh, and it has many of the same elements that made the first part such a success. And it has many of the same concepts and puzzles, just rebranded, reskinned, rehashed, that we solved in the first part. These are, for some reason, often touted as being much more complicated than experienced in Part 1. Some of them are actually quite complicated, taken out of context at least. And if you join me for Part 1, you will see that it should have successfully trained anyone who solved it to be able to think properly to solve all the puzzles of ZORK 2. Now we're going to continue our playthrough with the TRS-80 Color Computer 2, and as before it has 64K of RAM and floppy drives. Now, unlike before, it cannot be loaded in multiple ways, and if we run a directory, you will see it does not recognize that there is a disk in the drive. But instead, if I run DOS, the game should start loading without a problem. The story is loading. ZORK 2. The Wizard of Frobos, copyright 1981 by Infocom Inc., all rights reserved. ZORK is a trademark of Infocom Inc. Release 2-3, serial number 830411. That is April 11th, 1983. Inside the barrow. You are inside an ancient barrow hidden deep within a dark forest. The barrow opens into a narrow tunnel at its southern end. You can see a faint glow at the far end. A sword of elvish workmanship lies on the ground. A strangely familiar brass lantern is lying on the ground. If you're joining me here for the first time, welcome. I always love seeing new faces. And if you're returning for more punishment under my guidance, thank you so much for coming back. You are just as important to me as the new viewers. Seriously, I love you all. For those who've joined us for this Let's Play of ZORK 2 on the Model 1, I'm going to warn you. This playthrough should not be that much different. I'm using the same notes and maps I made for it here. I would also like to note that this is actually the second recording of this I'm doing, as while doing this I found that the floppy drive I was working with was corrupt and was throwing random errors and garbled text. I've tested this disk some, not all the way through, and I hope it holds up. So, raise a glass, here's hoping. Now obviously the first thing that we want to do here is pick up our lantern and our sword. And I've shown you before that the sword responds to Orcrist and it responds to Glamdring in ZORK 1 and ZORK 2 on the Model 1. What I have not shown you so far is that it responds to sword. So we get the sword, giving us 3 possible names we can use for it: sword, Glamdring, and Orcrist. And then we are going to get the lantern, which also responds to the name lamp. Now we're going to take a little bit of a walk here, and where we're going for is a place called a Gazebo. Now, Normally we would light the lantern before going traveling, but since I like to conserve power as much as possible, there's a few rooms we can pass through before we have to enter an area where the light is needed. So let's start by going south to the narrow tunnel. You are standing at the southern end of a narrow tunnel where it opens into a wide cavern. The cavern is dimly illuminated by phosphorescent mosses clinging to its high ceiling. A deep ravine winds through the cavern with a small stream at the bottom. The walls of the ravine are steep and crumbly. A footbridge crosses the ravine to the south. We're going south across the footbridge. You are standing on a crude but sturdy wooden footbridge, crossing a deep ravine. The path here runs north and south. So we go south again to the Great Cavern. This is the center of a great cavern carved out of limestone. Stalactites and stalagmites of many sizes are everywhere. The room glows with the dim light provided by phosphorescent moss, and weird shadows move around you. A narrow path winds southwest among the stalagmites, and another leads northeast. So we are going to go southwest. Shallow ford. You are at the southern edge of a great cavern. To the south, across a shallow ford, is a dark tunnel which looks like it was once enlarged and smoothed. To the north, a narrow path winds among stalagmites. Dim light illuminates the cavern. Let's go south again. You have moved into a dark place. It is pitch black. You are likely to be eaten by a grue. Okay, now here is where we need to light our lamp. And as I've said before, I used lantern the first time, now I'm using lamp. The lamp is now on. Dark tunnel. This is a dark tunnel with dim light to the northeast. The tunnel is smooth but dusty and filled with debris, twigs and leaves which become deeper as the tunnel branches. A wide corridor leading southwest and a narrower one southeast. We are going to go southeast. North end of garden. This is the northern end of a formal garden. Hedges hide the cavern walls, and if you don't look up, the illusion is of a cloudy day outside. The light comes from a large growth of glowing mosses on the roof of the cave. A break in the hedge is almost overgrown to the north. A carefully manicured path leads south. In the center of a rose bed is a small open structure painted white. It appears to be a gazebo. You catch a glimpse of something white between two hedges. So we want to enter the gazebo. This is a gazebo in the midst of a formal garden. It is cool and restful here. A tea table adorns the center of the gazebo. Sitting on the table is a matchbook, a china teapot, a placemat, a newspaper, a letter opener. We want the teapot. So let's get the teapot. And then we're going to head out. There is a beautiful unicorn here cropping grass. We cannot do anything with the unicorn, so we'll leave it here for now. And go north into the dark tunnel. And then northeast, we're heading back to the shallow ford where we came from. And here we want to get water. The teapot is now full of water. We're going to head back through the dark tunnel and southeast to the north end of the garden. The unicorn is cropping grass on the other side of the room. A gold key hangs from a ribbon around its neck. A strange little man in a long cloak appears suddenly in the room. He's wearing a high, pointed hat embroidered with astrological signs. He has a long, stringy, and unkempt beard. The wizard draws forth his wand and waves it in your direction. It begins to glow with a faint blue glow. The wizard, almost inaudibly, begins a word beginning with F and then disappears, chuckling nastily. Now this is a wizard who will show up at random intervals and will cast some sort of spell on us. Some of them are useful, some of them are detrimental, some of them do not really do much at all. And some of them can cause the game to be impossible to finish, and some of them can kill us immediately. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move forward as though nothing happened. Because if I remember correctly, this one doesn't really do much. All of them start with the letter F, by the way. And if it doesn't tell us the exact name, I'm not so worried about it. But If he shows up again in the future, I am not going to go through the whole reading of his description. I will just focus on the spell and move forward. Okay? Anyway, we want to go south, which takes us to the formal garden. This is the middle part of a formal garden. Hedges hide the cavern walls, and a dim illumination comes from the mosses far above. The path is of a small crushed white stones. It winds among the bushes and flower beds from south to north. To the north, a small structure can be seen. To the south are peculiarly-shaped bushes. There is a small gap in the hedges to the west. So we want to go to the west through the small gap to a path near the stream. The path follows the south edge of a deep ravine towards the northeast here. A tunnel heads southwest, narrowing to a rather tight crawl. A faint whirring sound can be heard in that direction, and on the east is a ruined archway choked with vegetation. We want to go southwest. You are in a large circular room whose high ceiling is invisible in the gloom. 8 identical passages lead from the room. A loud whirring sound comes from all around, and you feel sort of disoriented in here. If you look up there at the top, you'll notice they call this the carousel room. They call it the carousel room because it's a circular room that spins on its axis. So whenever we come in here, we are attempting to go to the southeast. But that's assuming that we know which way north is. Since the room has spun, we could now be facing any one of the cardinal directions and think that is north. So it's a guessing game. And what we do is we attempt to go forward. If we don't go the way we want to, we come back and we attempt to go forward again. And we keep repeating this until we get where we are trying to go, which is a place called the Riddle Room. And we do that by going to the southeast. Oh, we went to the Riddle Room the first try. We're not sure which direction is which. Something about this room is very disorienting. The Riddle Room. This is a room which is bare on all sides. There is an exit down in the northwest corner of the room. To the east is a great closed door made of stone. Above the stone, the following words are written. No man shall pass this door without solving this riddle. What is tall as a house, round as a cup, and all the king's horses can't draw it up? I'll give you a moment to think about that. A little bit of a hint. The height also includes how deep it goes underground, not just ground level up, though in some regards it could be that tall if it's a really tiny house. Anyway, I'm not going to focus on the main thing that I'm not a man, I'm a woman, and therefore this riddle should not apply to me, because then I'd just be invoking Tolkien, and I've invoked Tolkien and other things already. So let's go ahead. Answer a well. There is a deafening clap of thunder, and the stone door quietly swings open to reveal a passage beyond. So from here, we need to go east. Pearl Room. This is a former broom closet. The exits are to the east and the west. There's a pearl necklace here with hundreds of large pearls. We will pick this back up a little bit later. Instead, we're going to go east again to the circular room. This is a damp circular room whose walls are made of brick and mortar. The roof of this room is not visible, but there appear to be some etchings on the walls. There's a passageway to the west. There's a wooden bucket here, 3 feet in diameter and 3 feet high. Let's read the etchings. Oblo agi el mbra. That'll make more sense in a few moments here. We're going to get in the bucket. And then we're going to pour water. There's now a puddle in the bottom of the wooden bucket. The bucket rises and comes to a stop, the top of well. You are in the wooden bucket. Here at the top of the well. Well done. There are etchings on the side of the well. There's a small crack across the floor at the entrance to the room to the east, but it can be crossed easily. The wooden bucket contains a quantity of water. Let's read the etchings. Frobaugh's Magic Well Company. Does it make sense now? I just assume that down below the edges were worn off. So we want to get out. And then we go east to the tea room. This is a small room containing a large oblong table, no doubt set for afternoon tea. It is clear from the objects on the table that the users were indeed mad. In the eastern corner of the room is a small hole, no more than 4 inches high. There are passageways leading to the west and to the northwest. There is a large oblong table here. Sitting on the oblong table is a cake with lettering in green icing, a cake with red icing letters, a cake with orange icing letters, and a cake with blue icing letters. Now I'm going to suggest leaving one of these cakes where it is, and we are going to get the red cake, the blue cake, and the green cake. As you can see, I am a fan of Oxford commas. So they've all been taken. And let's read the green cake. The icing spells out, "Eat me." Read the red cake. The first letter is a capital E. The rest is too small to read. And that is the same with the other 3 cakes. So we know from trial and error early on what these are. And so we're just going to go ahead and eat the green cake. Suddenly, the room appears to have become very large, although everything you are carrying seems to be its normal size. Post's room. This is an enormous room in the center of which are 4 wooden posts delineating a rectangular area, above which is what appears to be a wooden roof. In fact, all objects in this room appear to be abnormally large. To the east is a passageway. There is a large chasm on the west and the northwest. There is a group of wooden posts here. And these posts are actually the legs of the table in the tea room, and the wooden roof is the table itself. So we want to go east. This is a pool room. This is a large room, 1/2 of which is depressed. Salty water falls from a large leak in the ceiling. The only exit is to the west. A stoppered glass flask with a skull and crossbones marking is here. The flask is filled with some clear liquid. The leak has submerged the depressed area in the pool of tears. There is hazy something in the deepest part of the pool. Now what I want to show you here is we want to read red cake with flask. We're using the flask as a magnifying glass or as a focus point. The flask distorts and magnifies the cake with the red icing letters, showing details not noticed earlier. The letters now visibly say evaporate. And if we read blue cake with flask, you see the letters are now enlarged, and the cake we left behind is explode, just for future reference. So with evaporate, the most intelligent thing we can do is get rid of the water. So throw red cake in pool. Most of the pool evaporates, revealing a slightly damp, but still valuable, package of rare candies. So let's get the candy. And then get out of here by going west again. And then go ahead and eat the blue cake, which puts us back in the tea room. And here with the orange icing is the cake that goes boom. Do not eat it. Do not, no. No, no, no. Okay, go ahead, but don't blame me. I'll still be here when you get back. Just hit pause and eat it. Now, didn't I tell you so? Okay, we're going to go northwest. Low room. You're in a circular room with a low ceiling. There are exits to the east and southeast. There's a green piece of paper here. There is a robot here. So let's start by reading the paper, because this is our instructions. Froboz's Magic Robot Company. Hello, Master. I'm a late model robot trained at GUE Tech to perform various simple household functions. To activate me, say the following. Tell robot, quote, something to do, quote, carriage return. The pair of double quotes are required at your service. This kind of breaks the fourth wall, but I am not going to complain. Let's drop the paper. And what we want to do here is tell robot go east and push triangle. And the robot is going to execute both steps. So it goes whir, buzz, click. The robot leaves the room. A dull thump is heard in the distance. So the robot has done what we want him to do, at least for the first portion. So what we do here is we follow the robot. And we do that by going east. You cannot get your bearings. The machine room. This is a large room full of assorted heavy machinery, whirring noisily. The room smells of burned resistors. Along one wall are 3 buttons, respectively, round, triangular, and square. Naturally, above all these buttons are written instructions in EBCDIC. A large sign in English above all the buttons says, Danger, high voltage. There are exits to the west and south. There is a robot here. So let's tell the robot to go south. And in case you are wondering, EBCDIC is an old programming language, and that's an old programming joke between programmers who it would have been natural for them to know about back when ZORK was originally written. The robot leaves the room, and we follow the robot south. Dingy closet. This is a dingy closet adjacent to a larger room in the north. Chiseled into the wall are these words. Protected by Froboz's Magic Alarm Company. Hello, footpad. There doesn't seem to be any footpad here. However, there's a robot here. There's a beautiful red crystal sphere here. Now, we are a footpad. A footpad is a thief, a common thief, somebody who goes around stealing things. And if what we're doing is not stealing things, I do not know what is. So let's go ahead and set off this alarm. Get the sphere. As you reach for the sphere, a steel cage falls from the ceiling to entrap you. To make matters worse, poisonous gas starts coming into the room. Cage, you are trapped inside a steel cage. Well, it's a good thing I have a robot. Tell robot to lift the cage. The cage shakes and is hurled across the room. It's hard to say, but the robot appears to be smiling. Dingy closet. There is a beautiful red crystal sphere here. Now, as you saw before, I used get. I'm going to show you you can also use take. So both get and take are universal in this game. And now we're going to go north, which takes us back to the machine room, and then we're going to go west, which puts us in the low room. And then we want to get back to the T room, and that does not always happen directly. See, it takes us back to the machine room. Spinning rooms. This game loves them. So we're going to go west again, and then we are going to go southeast again. Takes us back to the machine room. So we will go west again, and then we go southeast. And now we are at the T room, which is where we wanted to go. And then we go west. We are at the top of the well. And this is the same as it was before, only this time the wizard appears. This time he casts a different spell, and judging by the description of the spell, you look at the wizard in terror, scramble away, trying to get as far as possible away from him. So we scampered back into the T room. So what he cast on us was fear. we can live with fear. So we're going to go west again, back to the top of the well. The bucket, as you see, contains a quantity of water, and this water remains for 100 turns, after which it evaporates. So let's get in the bucket. And then we want to get the water. And the bucket descends, comes to a stop, and we're now in the circular room, still in the wooden bucket. So let's get out. And then we are going to drop the teapot. And from here, we're going to head back west into the pearl room. And remember, we left all these pearls before? Well, let's try to get them now. Get the necklace. Taken. And then we go west again to the Riddle Room, northwest to the Carousel Room. Now you notice there's a change. There's a dented steel box here. We want to open the box. Opening the steel box reveals a fancy violin. They'll tell us the name of the violin later, but for now we'll just call it violin because it is many less letters. And then we're going to head back to the gazebo, which is east through the topiary. This is the southern end of a formal garden. Hedges hide the cavern walls and mosses provide dim illumination. Fantastically shaped hedges and bushes are arrayed with geometric precision. They have not recently been clipped, but you can discern creatures in the shapes of the bushes. There is a dragon, a unicorn, a great serpent, a huge misshapen dog, and several human figures. On the west side of the garden, the path leads through a rose arbor into a tunnel. Well, we are going to go north to the formal garden, north again to the north end of the garden, and enter the gazebo. Okay, so we are going to drop everything we are carrying except the lamp and the sword. Then we want to get the placemat, and we want to get the letter opener. And then from here we head out to the north end of the garden. We head south to the formal garden, south again to the topiary, west to the carousel room. This is where we got the violin. And we head north, which takes us to the marble hall. This is an arched hall of fine marble. The hall stops abruptly to the north at a ford across a stream where the marble is cracked and broken. Perhaps a flood or collapse of cave was responsible. To the south, the hall opens into a large room. There's a rather annoying whirring sound coming from that room. There's a square brick here which feels like clay. Now in the original game, this square brick was originally in the attic of the White House, but it's not used in the first part of ZORK, so since it's used here, it's moved here. And so we want to get the brick. And then we want to go north. Deep ford. You're fording a stream at a deep but not impossible spot. The water is very cold. The walls of the ravine rise to the east and west. There's a small ledge along the north wall of the ravine. To the south is an entrance to a well-constructed but somewhat ruined hall. You suddenly decide that the wizard isn't that terrifying. We're going to go north again. Ledge in a ravine. You are on a narrow ledge near the bottom of a deep ravine. The ledge continues to the west. A precarious climb up to another tiny ledge is possible. A short scramble down the rock face leads to a stream. Now we want to go up. Tiny room. This is a tiny room carved out of the wall of a ravine. There is an exit down a precarious climb. On the north side of the room is a massive wooden door which has a small window barred with iron. A formidable bolt lock is set within the door frame. A keyhole covered by a thin metal lid lies within the lock. Now, this is an old trick that we're going to use in order to defeat this puzzle. And it needs to be done in this exact order or else it isn't going to work. So we're going to put the mat under the door. So slide it under there. Placemat fits easily under the door. Then we want to open the lid. This is the lid that covers the lock. And if we were to look through the hole, we would see that it's dark. The reason it's dark is because there's a key sitting in there pointing toward us. It's been locked from the inside, but we want that key so we can open the door. And the best way to do that in this game is to put the opener in the hole. There's a faint noise from behind the door and a small cloud of dust rises from beneath it. Done. The key has fallen. Thump. Dust goes. Now what we need to do is get the mat again. As the placemat is moved, a rusty iron key falls from it onto the floor. Let's get the key. And the letter opener is still inside the keyhole, so we need to get the opener. And then we can unlock the door with the key. And then we can open the door. From here we go north to the Dreary Room. This is a small and rather dreary room, eerily illuminated by a red glow emanating from a crack in one wall. The light falls upon a dusty wooden table in the center of the room. On the south side of the room is a massive wooden door which has a small window barred with iron. A formidable bolt lock is set within the door frame. A keyhole lies within the lock. The edge of the placemat is visible under the door. In the center of the table sits a blue crystal sphere. We want the sphere. Taken. And now we head back to the gazebo. So to do that, we go south to the tiny room. Then we go down to the ledge in the ravine, and we go south again to the deep ford, south to the marble hall, south to the carousel room, east to the topiary. Oh, look, it looks like the animals have changed position slightly. North to the formal garden. Hey, look, unicorn, and it has something around its neck. North again, and wouldn't you know it, either there's multiple unicorns or they're following us. And then we want to enter the gazebo. And as you notice, there's the things we've dropped and what's already there. And now it is time to drop all but the sword and lamp and brick. See, we can do this with or without commas. And then we want to get the newspaper and matches. If you want to know, the newspaper was originally in the living room of the White House in the original ZORK game. But again, needed in the second part, so it's moved to the second part, makes no appearance in the first part at all. So now let's head out. Still the unicorn. Go south to the formal garden, south again to the topiary, west to the carousel room, and then we're going to go southwest this time. This is the cobwebby corridor. A windy corridor is filled with cobwebs. Some are broken, and the dust on the floor is disturbed. The trend of the twists and turns is northeast to southwest. On the north side of one twist, high up, is a narrow crack. There is a coil of black braided string here. We want the string. And then we're going to head back the way we came, a little bit, to a lava tube. You're in a tight chimney of solidified lava. It extends up at least another 100 feet and down to a large room far below. A large crack opens to the south, probably the result of a shift in the rock strata. We're going to go down. Ice room. This is a large hall of ancient lava, since worn smooth by the movement of a glacier. A large passage exits to the east, and upward lava tube is at the top of a jumble of fallen rocks. A mass of ice fills the western half of the room. We need to go east. Cool room. This room is cool and damp. The air is misty. A twisty path from the southeast splits here toward a wide, northerly stone bridge and a narrow westerly tunnel. It is from the latter that the mist and chill seem to originate. Let's go north. Stone bridge. This is the middle of a ruined, but still impressive, stone bridge spanning a deep chasm. Water flows far beneath. A paved path leads north into a large open space. South, the path leads into a misty tunnel. Your sword is glowing with a faint blue glow. Do you remember the blue glow from the previous game? It glows, there's danger. Hey, there's danger nearby, and we're going to go right toward that danger. To the Dragon Room. The room is a large cavern full of broken stone. The walls are scorched and there are deep scratches on the floor. A sooty, dry smell is very strong here. A paved path winds from a large passage to the west, through the room, and across a huge stone bridge to the south. To the east, a small crack is visible. A dark and smoky tunnel leads north. A huge red dragon is lying here, blocking the entrance to a tunnel leading north. Smoke curls from his nostrils and out between his teeth. Your sword has begun to glow very brightly. Now, we could try to kill the dragon, but we're not going to try to kill the dragon. Instead, we're just going to attack the dragon. With the sword. And because we could try to kill the dragon, we couldn't actually kill it. The dragon here is very surprised and interested for the moment, but he continues to watch us carefully. One of the responses it may give us is that our sword glances off the dragon. We don't want to fight something that we cannot hurt. So instead, we're going to go south. This is to the stone bridge, and the dragon followed us. So let's go ahead and attack the dragon with the sword again. That captured the dragon's interest. He stares at you balefully. The dragon continues to watch you carefully. And now we're going to go south one more time to the cool room. The dragon follows you out of mingled curiosity and anger. Let's attack him. With the sword. And then we're going to go west. And he will follow us again. Now we're in the ice room. A mass of ice fills the western half of the room. As the dragon enters, he sees his reflection on the icy surface of the glacier at its western end. He becomes enraged. There's another dragon here. Behind that glass, he thinks dragons are smart, but sometimes naive, and this one has never seen ice before. He rears up to his full height to challenge this intruder into his territory. He roars a challenge. The intruder responds. The dragon takes a deep breath and out of his mouth pours a massive gout of flame. It washes over the ice, which melts rapidly, sending out torrents of water and a huge cloud of steam. You manage to clamber up to a small shelf, but the dragon is terrified. A huge splash goes down his throat. There's a muffled explosion and the dragon, a puzzled expression on his face, dies. He's carried away by the water. When the flood recedes, you climb gingerly down. While no trace of the dragon can be found, the melting of the ice has revealed a passage leading west. Your sword is no longer glowing. They missed a chance to have us try to get out of the way of the water, and we could have drowned, but they didn't add that particular puzzle in. I'm quite surprised. Instead, though, we're going to go west into that passage, the lava room. This is a small room whose walls are formed by an old lava flow. There are exits here to the east and the south. On the floor lies a Moby ruby. We want to get the ruby. And then we're going to go south. Volcano bottom. You're at the bottom of a large dormant volcano. High above you, light enters from the cone of the volcano. The only exit is to the north. There is a large and extremely heavy wicker basket here. An enormous cloth bag is draped over the side and firmly attached to the basket. A metal receptacle is fastened to the center of the basket. Dangling from the basket is a piece of braided wire. So let's get in the basket. And from here, we want to open the receptacle. I'm going to let you guess for now what we are doing. Light a match. And then we are going to light the newspaper with a match. The newspaper burns inside the receptacle. The cloth bag inflates as it fills with hot air. A small label drops from the bag onto the basket. The match has gone out. Let's read the label. Frobaugh's Magic Balloon Company. Well, I guess the answer is out. We're in a balloon. Well, actually, we're in the basket to a balloon, but hello, aviator. Promoted from footpad. To land your balloon, say land. Otherwise, you're on your own. No warranty expressed or implied. Let's drop the label. Dropped. The balloon rises slowly from the ground. Volcano core. You are in the basket. You're about 100 feet above the bottom of the volcano. The top of the volcano is clearly visible here. The cloth bag is inflated and there is a newspaper burning in the receptacle. A braided wire is dangling over the side of the basket. The basket contains a blue label. The receptacle contains a newspaper. It should list that we're in the basket as well, but it decided not to. We're going to wait. Time passes, the balloon ascends. Volcano near a small ledge. Still in the basket. You're about 200 feet above the volcano floor. Looming above is the rim of the volcano. There's a small ledge on the west side. The cloth bag is inflated and there is a newspaper burning in the receptacle. A braided wire is dangling over the side of the basket. Same. What we need to do here, because we have waited, is we need to go west. Narrow ledge. You're in the basket. You're on a narrow ledge within an old dormant volcano. This ledge is about halfway between the floor below and the rim above. There is an exit to the south. The cloth bag is inflated and it says the same there. However, on the floor is a priceless gold ZORK mid, a valuable collector's item. There's a small hook attached to the rock here, outside of the basket. So what we need to do here is we need to make sure that our balloon does not fly away. So we're going to tie the wire to the hook. And then we get out. We are out. We're on our own feet again, and the wizard shows up, and he incants us with fence, which is supposed to create a fence around us. I've never had fence happen to me up here on the volcano before, so let's find out. We'll get the coin, which is a ZORK mid, and then we want to go south. Library. This must have been a large library, probably for the royal family. All of the shelves have been gnawed to pieces by unfriendly gnomes. To the north is an exit. There's a purple book here. There's a white book here. There's a blue book here. There is a green book here. This is anti-gnome propaganda. They did not actually do this. It was something else. It was not a bookworm either. Worms are cute. Let's read the white book. It is written in an unfamiliar tongue and details the use of various magical objects, chiefly the so-called magic wand. Very important information coming up here. Apparently, these devices work by pointing them at the object to be ensorcelled and then chanting the appropriate magic words. It's truly amazing how credulous these ancients were, isn't it? So now let's drop the book. So we no longer need it, but we do need something that's in the purple book. So we want to open the purple book. Opening the purple book reveals a flathead stamp. Let's get the stamp. And then we're going to head out of here by going north. This is back to the balloon, the basket. There's a large and extremely heavy wicker basket here. An enormous cloth bag is attached to the basket and is inflated. A metal receptacle is fastened to the center of the basket. In it is a burning newspaper. A piece of wire tied to the hook holds the balloon in place. We're going to get in the basket. And then we want to untie the wire. Now we're going to find this a little interesting here. What we need to do is wait. So we're now back in the volcano core. And then we need to wait again. Balloon ascends. And we are now where we just were. So when we restarted, as I said, it would be interesting. It starts us back on the ground floor. But we're going to go and wait again. The balloon ascends, volcano by the viewing ledge, high above the floor of the volcano. The rim of the volcano looks very narrow, and you're very near it. To the east appears to be a viewing ledge, too thin to land on. The cloth bag is inflated. The rest is normal. Let's wait again. The balloon ascends. Volcano near wide ledge. You are near the rim of the volcano. Above it is open to the sky. To the west, there is a place to land on a wide ledge. The cloth bag is inflated, etc., etc. We want to go west. You're on a wide ledge high in the volcano. The rim of the volcano is about 200 feet above, and there is a precipitous drop to the bottom. There's a small hook attached to the rock here outside of the basket. So we want to tie the wire to the hook. Then we want to get out. And then we go south. You're in a dusty old room, which is featureless except for an exit on the north side. Embedded in the far wall is a rusty box. It appears to be somewhat damaged, since an oblong hole has been chipped out of the front of it. Time for us to make use of the string and the brick. So we want to put string in brick. Done. And then put brick in hole. Does this make sense? The string is a fuse, and then we light a match. Then we light string with match. We will only have one turn to get out of here after it starts to burn, so we're going to go north. And this puts us back where we landed, and then there's an explosion nearby. Boom! We can go back the way we came. South. You're in a dusty old room, which is featureless except for an exit on the north side. On the far wall is a rusty box whose door has been blown off. The room is cluttered with debris from an explosion. The walls seem ready to collapse. The excessively gaudy crown here of Lord Dimwit Flathead is here. The box contains a card. So let's get the crown and the card. We have time to examine the card, so we may as well. Warning, this room was constructed over weak rock strata. Detonation of explosives in this room is strictly prohibited. Frobaw's Magic Cave Company, per Agrippa Foreman. Let's go north. Let's get out of here. So we're back on the wide ledge, and then we want to get in the basket. You are now in the basket. You may recall that a recent explosion, probably as a result of it, you hear an ominous rumbling as if a nearby room had collapsed. So if we hadn't gotten out of there when we did, the room would have collapsed on us within a couple of turns. Now let's untie the wire. The wire falls off the hook, and then close the receptacle. We do not want the fire going up anymore, heating the air. Unlike the other ledge, this one actually starts us up at the top instead of back down at the bottom, so we need to wait. And we need to continue waiting. And continue waiting. And we keep waiting as the balloon descends. Now the balloon has landed, so this is where we get out. And now we want to head to the gazebo. And we will do this the quick way, so we're going to go north, and then east again, and then southeast, then east. Notice they've seemed to change again. In fact, they're closing in on us. They seem to be leering at us. North, north. Hey, look, there's still a unicorn. I like that unicorn. Seeing a unicorn out in the wild, it's like seeing a unicorn. So we get into the gazebo. This is back to our home base. And now it is time for us to go get ourselves a princess. But first, let's drop everything except for the lamp. Now let's go out. The wizard shows his face, and he casts Fierce, which makes us want to attack him. But it doesn't move us anywhere, so we're good. We're just going to go south from here. This will wear off. So we're back into the formal garden, and then we go west to the path near the stream, where we go southwest to where there's a dented steel box, and then we go north to the marble hall, north again to the deep ford. Notice there's a huge dragon lying half blocking the stream. North again to the ledge in the ravine, and then we're going to go west to the end of the ledge. A ledge from the east ends here, and a tunnel leads north into the wall. There is a rather odd smoky odor in the warm air of the tunnel. We're going to go north to the Dragon Room, and north again to the Dragon's Lair. Forgive me, I just had to fight the impulse to quote Dragon's Lair, the old arcade game. Dragon's Lair, the fantasy adventure game where you portray a valiant knight. You know, that game. The one that took more coins than any other game in its era. We all remember it. This is the Dragon's Lair. A rotten old wooden chest is in one corner among the debris. A beautiful young woman wearing a dirty and bedraggled gown sits on a rock in the corner. Her hair is unkempt, and she is oblivious to your presence, almost in a trance. The lamp appears a bit dimmer. Well, we want to get the chest. And what do you do with princesses in old stories? You kiss them. The princess, for she is obviously one, shakes herself awake, then notices you for the first time. She smiles. Thank you for rescuing me from that horrid worm, she says. I must depart. My parents will be worried about me. With that, she arises, looking purposefully out the lair. Worm is supposed to be spelled W-Y-R-M. So now let's head back to the gazebo. And that's a little bit of a walk, but we'll do it. We do it by going south to the Dragon Room, south again, and south again. And then we go southeast, east, north, north, and enter gazebo. By the way, notice it's Stradivarius. Very happy I did not have to spell out Stradivarius, that I could just say violin. And I'm going to wait. And wait. The princess joins me in the gazebo. Wait again. Continue waiting. Shyly, a unicorn peeks out of the hedges. It notices the princess and seems captivated. It approaches her and bows its head as though curtsying to her. Around its neck is a red satin ribbon on which is strung a delicate golden key. The princess takes the ribbon and uses it to tie up her hair. She looks at you, then, smiling, hands you the key and a fresh rose which she plucks from the arbor. You may have use of such a thing, she says. It is the least I can do for one who rescued me from a fate that I dare not contemplate. With that she mounts the unicorn, side saddle of course, and rides off into the gloom. Well, now that we have the key, let's open the chest. The hinges are very rusty, but they seem to be starting to give. You can probably open it if you try again. There's something bumping around inside. So let's say again. The rotten wood chest opens. Nestled in the chest is a wrought gold statuette of a dragon. So we need the statuette. We do that by saying get dragon, or we could say dragon statuette or statuette. And then we want to drop the chest. Drop the rose. Get the candy. Red sphere. And blue sphere. Oh, and while we're at it, let's go ahead and grab the pearls. Then we want to head out and south to the formal garden, south again to the topiary, west to the carousel room, and then south to the Menhir room. This is a large room which was evidently used once as a quarry. Many large limestone chunks lie helter-skelter around the room. Some are rough-hewn and unworked, others smooth and well-finished. One side of the room appears to have been used to quarry building blocks, the others to produce menhirs, standing stones. Obvious passages lead north and south. One particularly large menhir, at least 20 feet tall and 8 feet thick, is leaning against the wall, blocking a dark opening leading southwest. On this side of the menhir is carved an ornate letter F. And we want to go south again to the stairway. A marble stairway leads down into the gloom, and a passage leads north. We want to go down. And we're going to this puzzle down here that is very unfriendly to people who are unfamiliar with a particular American pastime. Oddly angled room. This is a room with oddly angled walls and passages in all directions. The walls are made of some glassy substance. A marble stairway leads upward. Now we want to go east here. Oddly angled room. This is a room with oddly angled walls and passages in all directions. The walls are made of some glassy substance. On the floor is a very small, diamond-shaped window, which is flickering dimly. A long wooden club lies on the ground near the diamond-shaped window. The club is curiously burned at the thick end. We want to get the club. Now what we're going to do is we need to walk this path of a baseball diamond. And to do that, we have to go in some curious directions. Instead of going the north, south, east, and west thing, we have to go southeast first. And then we need to go northeast. And then we need to go northwest. And then we need to go southwest. And you notice it is now, each time, the glowingness of the diamond changed. So now we're going to go north. Let's go west. Let's go east. Let's go south. Because the room is arranged oddly, I couldn't guess which direction we were actually facing when we went through this. So This time it just ended up being the last one. Now let's go up the stairs, and then we are going to go north to the Menhir Room, north again to the Carousel Room, southwest to the Cobwebby Corridor, and southwest again. Guarded Room. This room is cobwebby and musty, but tracks in the dust show that it has seen visitors recently. At the south end of the room is a stained and battered but very strong-looking door. To the north, a corridor exits. Embedded in the door is a nasty-looking lizard head with sharp teeth and beady eyes. The lizard is sniffing at you. So we're going to give the candy that we brought with us to the lizard. The guardian greedily wolfs down the candy, including the package. It seemed to enjoy the grasshoppers particularly. It then becomes quiet and its eyes close. Lizards are known to sleep a long time while digesting their meals. So let's unlock the door with the gold key. This is the gold key we got from the unicorn. The key turns and the bolt clicks. The door is unlocked. Let's open the door. The door creaks open. Now we are going to go south. The Wizard's Workshop. You are standing in the entry hall of the Wizard's Workshop. Dark corridors lead west and south from here. The corridor to the west smells slightly of incense or candle smoke. The workshop door is open. We're going to go west to the Wizard's Workroom. This room is the Wizard's Laboratory. A hall continues east and west, and a larger room lies to the south. There are many shelves and racks on the walls, but the Wizard's workbench dominates the room. It is made of dark, heavy wood bound with iron. The workbench is stained from many years of use, and is deeply gouged as though some huge clawed animal was imprisoned on it. There are burn marks and even notes written in a crabbed hand. Many arcane items are scattered about the bench. Alembics, mortar and pestle, small knives of various sizes, odd scraps of vellum, wax candles, and much more. In the center of a relatively clear area of the bench are affixed 3 stands which form a triangle. Sitting on the wizard's workbench is a ruby stand, a diamond stand, a sapphire stand. We want to drop all but the lamp. And then it is time to go for a walk. We're going to go east into the Wizard's Workshop, north to the Guarded Room, north again, and then we want to go northeast to the Carousel Room. The wizard shows, but nothing seems to happen, so we will go north to the Marble Hall, north again to the Deep Ford, north again to the ledge in the ravine, where we now want to turn our direction west to the end of ledge, and then we go north to the Dragon Room, and then we go west again to the Fresco Room. A path leads east-west through a room decorated with beautiful frescoes of someone battling dragons and rescuing fair maidens. It's hard to tell who is doing this, as those parts of the frescoes have been blackened and cracked by intense heat. We go west again to the bank entrance. This is the entrance hall of the Bank of ZORK, the largest banking institution of the great underground empire. A partial account of its history in the Lives of 12 Flatheads, in the chapter on J. Pierpont Flathead. A more detailed history, albeit less subjective, may be found in Flathead's outrageous autobiography, I'm Rich and You Aren't, So There. Most of the furniture has been ravaged by passing scavengers. All that remains are 2 signs at the northwest and northeast corners of the room, which say viewing rooms. The way out, ornate but tasteful, is to the east. We want to go northeast. East Teller's Room. You're in a small bank room which was used by a bank officer who retrieves safety deposit boxes for the customer. On the north side of the room is a sign which reads Viewing Room. On the east side of the room, above an open door, a sign reading Bank Personnel Only. So we go east. This is the safety depository. This is a large rectangular room. The east and west walls were used for storing safety deposit boxes, but all have been carefully removed by evil persons. To the east, west, and south of the room are large doorways. The northern wall of the room is a shimmering curtain of light. In the center of the room is a large stone cube, about 10 feet on a side. Engraved on the side of the cube is some lettering. On the ground is a small worn piece of paper. So let's read the lettering. Bank of Zork, Vault 722 GUE, Froboz's Magic Vault Company. Let's read paper. The paper is barely readable. I can only make out valuables are completely safe, advanced magic technology, impossible to take valuables from the depository, either tellers, many customers faint, teller pops in, seems to walk through walls. So we want to go and drop the paper because it does us no good anymore. And a wizard shows up and he incants us with fear. Nothing major is going to happen to us while we're incanted with fear. So we'll just continue moving on from where we were and go south. Chairman's office. This room was the office of the chairman of the Bank of Zork. Like the other rooms here, it has been extensively vandalized. The lone exit is to the north. A portrait of J. Pierpont Flathead hangs on the wall. Let's get the portrait. You'd think I would know how to spell this word. And then we're going to go north. There is a bank brochure here. We just read that bank brochure, so we're going to instead enter the light. You feel somewhat disoriented as you pass through a small room. This is a small, bare room with no distinguishing features. There are no exits from this room. We want to enter the south wall. You feel somewhat disoriented as you pass through. Safety depository. There is a bank brochure here. And then we want to enter the light again. You feel somewhat disoriented as you pass through. Vault. This is the vault of the Bank of Zork, in which there are no doors. On the floor sit 200 neatly stacked Zorkmid bills. So we want to get the bills. And then, in order to get out of here, since nothing can be removed from the vault itself normally, we want to kill ourselves. If you insist, poof, you're dead. You have died. Now, let's take a look here. Well, you probably deserve another chance. I can't quite fix you up completely, but you can't have everything. Room of red mist. You're inside a huge crystalline sphere filled with a thin red mist. The mist becomes blue to the west. You strain to look out through the mist. As you peer through the mist, a strangely colored vision of a huge room takes shape. Wizard's workroom. This room is the wizard's laboratory. A hall continues east and west, and a larger room lies to the south. There are many shelves on racks and on the walls, but the wizard's workbench dominates the room. It's made of dark heavy wood bound with iron. The workbench is stained from many years of use, and is deeply gouged as though some huge clawed animal was imprisoned on it. There are burn marks and even notes written in a crabbed hand. Many arcane items are scattered about the bench. Alembics, mortar and pestle, small knives of various sizes, odd scraps of vellum, wax candles, and much more. In the center of a relatively clear area of the bench are affixed 3 stands which form a triangle. There's a delicate golden key here. There is a golden dragon statuette here. There is a blue crystal sphere here. There is a pearl necklace here with hundreds of large pearls. There is a wooden club here. Sitting on the wizard's workbench is a ruby stand, diamond stand, and a sapphire stand. If that pops up again, I am not reading the whole thing. Let's go west. So we're back in the room of blue mist. And we go west. So we are in a room of white mist inside a huge crystalline sphere filled with a thin white mist. The mist becomes black to the west. You strain to look through the mist. A strangely blurry room is barely visible. We're going to go west again. You follow a corridor of black mist into a black-walled spherical room. As you enter, a huge, horrible face materializes out of the mist. "What brings you here to trouble my imprisonment, wanderer?" it asks. Hearing no immediate answer, it studies you for a moment. "Perhaps you may be of some use to me in gaining my freedom from this place. Return to your foolish quest. I shall not destroy you this time. Mayhap you will repay this favor in kind some day." The face vanishes and the mist begins to swirl. When it clears, you are returned to the world of life, inside the burrow. There is a lamp here. This is where we started the game. And now, what we want to do is we want to get the lamp. And then we need to head to the gazebo. And to get the gazebo, we need to go south through the narrow tunnel, south again to the footbridge, south to the great cavern, southwest to the shallow ford, south to the dark tunnel, and then southeast. And this puts us at the north end of the garden, where we can get into the gazebo. And remember, we left a bunch of treasures here. Well, we want to get the violin, the ruby, the coin, which is known as a ZORK mid, the stamp, and the crown. Now let's make sure we get all of them. The violin, ruby, ZORK mid, stamp, and crown. Okay, so we need to take off and head back to where we were. And to do that, we need to go out, go south to the formal garden, south again to the topiary, west to the carousel room, southwest, southwest to the cobwebby corridor, southwest again to the guarded room, south to the wizard's workshop, and west to the wizard's workroom. And here we want to drop everything but the lamp. We want to get the club, which, if you haven't figured out by now, was actually a baseball bat. And we want to go west to the aquarium room. Here, a dark hallway turns a corner. To the south is a dark room. To the east is fitful light. Filling the northern half of the room is a huge aquarium. The aquarium contains a baby sea serpent. We're going to throw the club at the glass. If you had brought the sword with us, we could do that instead. The wooden club shatters the glass wall of the aquarium, spilling out an impressive amount of salt water and wet sand. It also spills out an extremely annoyed sea serpent who bites angrily at the wooden club and then at you. He's having difficulty breathing, and he seems to hold you responsible for his current problem. He tries to slither across the stone floor towards you. Fortunately, he expires mere inches from biting off your foot. A clear crystal sphere sits amid the sand and broken glass on the bottom of the aquarium. Let's get the sphere. And then we go east. Now here, we want to solve a little bit of a puzzle. And to solve that puzzle, we need to put the spheres on the proper stands. So let's put the white sphere on the diamond stand. And then the next one is the red sphere, which we put the red sphere on the ruby stand. And then left over is the blue sphere. The blue sphere on the sapphire stand. As you place the blue crystal sphere On the sapphire stand, a low humming noise begins, and you can feel the hairs on the back of your neck to begin to stand up. The 3 spheres begin to vibrate faster and faster. As the noise becomes higher and higher pitched, 3 puffs of smoke, one red, one blue, one white, rise up from the empty stands. The spheres are gone, but in the center of the triangle formed by the stands is now a black stand of obsidian on which rests a strange black sphere. So we want to get the black sphere, and then we're going to take it south. This is the Pentagram Room. In this room, inscribed on the floor, is a great pentagram drawn with black chalk. In its center is a black circle. So let's put black sphere in black circle. A cold wind blows outward from the sphere. The candles flicker, and a low moan, almost inaudible, is heard. It rises in volume and pitch until it becomes a high-pitched keening. A dim shape becomes visible in the air above the sphere. The shape resolves into a large and somewhat formidable-looking demon. He looks around, tests the walls of the pentagram, experimentally, then sees you. A new master, he says under his breath. Greetings, O master. Wouldst desire a service, as our contract stateth? For some pittance of wealth, some trifle, I will gratify thy desires to the utmost limit of my powers, and they are not inconsiderable. He makes a pass with his massive arms, and the walls begin to shake a little. Another pass, and the shaking stops. A nice effect. I find it makes for a better relationship to give such a demonstration early on. He grins vilely. Now, we need to pay him. So to pay him, we want to go north. See, we brought all of these things here. So we're going to get the ruby, the coin, only this time I'm going to call it the ZORK mid, the stamp, and the violin. So we have all of those, and then we go south, back to where the demon is, and we are going to give all but the lamp to the demon. He's very happy with these. Ah, truly magnificent. Keep them coming. Almost halfway there, O worthy one. Oh, such a beauty. Your generosity almost overwhelms me. Truly I shall do thee a wonderful service when thou hast finished. So we need now to head back north and get the rest of them. And here you will see there is a crown, a key, a dragon statuette, a pearl necklace. So we want to get crown, key, dragon, and the necklace. And then we go south again. And we give all but the lamp to the demon. Truly, you are most generous, but still this is not yet enough. A fine gift, O mighty one. You have almost reached my fee. The wizard looks at you as if you are a madman. He tears his beard and stares at you fearfully. Wondrous, fine master, but one treasure is yet to be given. And the gaudy crown. This will do for my fee. It's a paltry hoard, but as you have done me a small service by loosening me from this wizard, it will suffice. So I want to give the demon a command, and there are actually 2 commands that I know of we can do here. One of them is to kill the wizard. I don't want to do that. I want to instead tell demon to give me the wand. I hear and obey, says the demon. He stretches out an enormous hand towards the wand. The wizard is unsure what to do, pointing it threateningly at the demon, then at you. Fudge! He cries. But aside from a strong odor of chocolate in the air, there is no effect. The demon plucks the wand out of his hand. It's about toothpick size to him, and gingerly lays it before you. He fades into the smoke, which disperses. The wizard runs from the room in terror. So we want to get the wand. Yes, I am intentionally avoiding the fudge joke there. And then we are going to go to the Minhir room. And to get there, we need to go north to the wizard's workroom. And then we go east to the wizard's workshop. Then we go north to the guarded room, north again to the cobwebby corridor, northeast to the carousel room, and south to the Minhir room. And if you remember, there's a Minhir that's 20 feet tall and 8 feet thick, made of solid stone. Well, we're going to move it. And this is where knowing the names of the spells comes in. As you're playing through the game, the wizard casts spells on you, and some of them do different things, and the particular spell we are after is called Float. So we want to wave the wand, as the book directed us to, and we're going to wave it at what? At the Minhir. And say Float. The wand grows warm. The enormous Minhir seems to glow dimly with magical essences, and you feel suffused with power. The wand glows very brightly for a moment. The Minhir floats majestically into the air, rising about 10 feet. The passage beneath it beckons invitingly. So now we want to go southwest, which will take us into the area we just opened, called the kennel. This room looks like it was once a kennel for a very large dog. Some of the bones would feed a dinosaur. It apparently hasn't been used for a long time, as the dust is fairly thick all over. The only exit is northeast. A gigantic dog collar, large enough for 3 rhinoceros-sized dogs, is lying amidst the debris. So let's get the collar. And then we are going to head out of here. We need to go find a dog. And to do that, we go north to the Minhir room, and then we go south to the stairway. We go down the stairway, and instead of going into the diamond room, we're going to go down again to the Cerberus room. This is the entrance to a huge crypt or tomb. A marble stairway leads up from a gateway arch. There is a vicious-looking dog guarding the entrance. It is more or less your usual dog, except that it has 3 heads and is the size of an elephant. Well, we don't want the dog to eat us. We don't want the dog to tear us into pieces. We don't want to die here. We are so close to the end of the game that you should be able to taste it now, or at least the dust from the last room. And in order to survive, we need to put the collar on the dog, and then we shall name it Fluffy. Yes, that was a thinly veiled reference to Harry Potter. The creature whines happily, then the center head licks your face, which is roughly like experiencing a sandpaper washcloth. The other 2 heads look about as though the monsters felt a sudden need to find a pair of slippers somewhere. Its huge tail wags enthusiastically, knocking small rocks around and almost blowing you over from the breeze it creates. Let's go east. Crypt Anteroom. The anteroom is large and empty. Marble bas-reliefs depict the stirring times and afterlife of the Flatheads, the latter a bit optimistically. The exit is to the west. A huge marble door stands to the south. The door is closed. Above the door is the cryptic inscription, "Feel free." This is a old programmer's joke. I'm not really going to get into it beyond saying that it's just something that one programmer or implementer says to another one. If they want to make a change, they ask for permission. The other one says, "Feel free, FF." So we're going to open the door. The crypt door squeaks open, and then we're going to go south through the door. Crypt. The room contains the earthly remains of the mighty Flatheads, 12 somewhat flat heads mounted securely on poles. While the room might be expected to contain a funerary urns or other evidence of the ritual practices of the ancient Zorkers, it is empty of all such objects. There is writing carved on the crypt. The only apparent exit is to the north through the door to the anteroom. The door is open. So we need to figure out how to get out of this room. Now, obviously, we could head back the way we came, but that's not going to get us anywhere. Because as we learned in the first part of ZORK, the second part of ZORK also ends by going down into wherever. And to do this, we have to understand that the crypt is normally designed to be dark. It is a place without light. And we have brought light in with us. And when we bring light with us, we cannot see the exit. So we have to take a leap of faith and turn off the lamp. The lamp is off. It is dark, but on the south wall is a faint outline of a rectangle, as though light were shining around a doorway. You can also make out a faintly glowing letter in the center of the area. It might be an F. I have attempted to come down here in another playthrough and found that if I did not have the wand on me, I could not have done this. So what we're going to do is we have turned off the lamp, we have the wand, we're going to open the secret door. The secret door opens noiselessly, and then we are going to go south. Landing. Beyond the door is a roughly hewn staircase leading down into the darkness. The landing on which you stand is covered with carefully drawn magical ruins, like those sketched upon the workbench of the Wizard of Frobos. These have been overlaid with sweeping green lines of enormous power, which undulate back and forth across the landing. The wand begins to vibrate in harmony with the motion of the lines. You feel yourself compelled downward, and you yield, stepping onto the staircase. As you pass the green lines, they flare and disappear with a burst of light, and you tumble down the staircase. At the bottom, a vast red-lit hall stretches off into the distance. Sinister statues guard the entrance to a dimly visible room far ahead. With courage and cunning, you have conquered the Wizard of Frobos and become the master of his domain. But the final challenge awaits. The ultimate adventure concludes in ZORK 3, the Dungeon Master. Your score would be 386, total of 400 points, in 351 moves. This score gives you the rank of Superior Adventurer. End of session. Now, one thing I'm sure you've noticed is that I left all my typos and mistakes in, instead of creatively editing them out. I wanted you to see them and how easy it is to recover from mistakes, as well as it's just proof I'm getting lazy in my old age. You decide which. As I said before, the puzzles in this game are really easy, and for the most part, other than the baseball diamond puzzle, are all challenges that ZORK 1 prepared us for as well. And honestly, there are no real notes that I have about this game that I've not already mentioned in the Model 1 Let's Play. Next up is going to be ZORK 3, the Dungeon Master, on the TRS-80 Model 1, which I hope you will enjoy at least as much as you have enjoyed my other LPs. While you wait, however, could you do me a favor and press like and or subscribe if you've not already? Then drop me a note right down below. Let me know what you thought. Have you ever completed the game? How? Maybe you can find the solution that gives you all 400 points. I left it open there for you so you could experiment and enjoy exploring the game on your own. You can also drop a request my way. I take those too. The past few LPs I've posted have all been requests. Now, no promises, but it never hurts to ask. So with that, I'm going to step off here and let you get to solving and typing. So please, be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. And I look forward to our next adventure together.